Hello, everybody. This is Paul Herman, the Prince of Motivation and host of Zaka Presents My Journey. We're creating this vulnerable and positive platform where you can get inspired and motivated from different leaders from our community. Today, our guest is the managing director of Kaiba Innovations, Tel Ganesan. How you doing, Tel?
Excellent, Paul. Happy to be with you, Paul.
Pleasure. I'm so excited to interview you today, and I know the listeners are definitely looking forward to hearing all the wonderful things that you have going on. So before we kind of dive in, I really want to know a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you kind of found your way to where you are right now in Michigan.
Well, I came to Michigan to pursue my master's degree, Paul, way back when. If I tell you when, you will know my age. But anyhow, I have to say it to you. I came to, although I look young, you will realize that soon. I came in 1989 to pursue my master's degree. And initially, I came to Oklahoma State University, Stillwater. And then from there, within a semester, I moved to Detroit. And since then, I've been in Detroit. And so that's what brought me here. So I've been here for almost, some 30 some years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And where did you come from originally, migrate from?
Originally, I came from India. So taking it back. So I got my bachelor's degree out of India, bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Like anybody else, I came here for higher studies to pursue my master's in mechanical engineering. And through that higher studies, I ended up, landing in Detroit. And since then, it has become my home.
And Detroit is like more of a melting pot, right? There's a lot of, it's very diverse and stuff. How did you react to that diversity of being in that environment, coming from India to then going over to finding your way into Michigan, Detroit?
Yes. I mean, obviously, like anything else, there are some initial adoption, challenges. But then over time, you are, I feel being welcome here. In fact, I spent more time here on any other place on planet Earth. So it has become my home now. So I'm extremely comfortable. And, look, I mean, I came here as a student, and this place and this state has offered me more than what I have imagined, and more than even what my mom can even dream of back in the day. So this is a true melting pot. And the city itself and has some challenges, but overall, it's a great place.
Now, you mentioned your mom just a while ago. Like, I know obviously leaving the nest is a very big thing. Like when a child is like, you know what, mom, dad, I want to head over to the United States to actually start building my life, whether it be through studies or whether through a career. Like, how did your parents, initially react to you, taking off, leaving India and, finding your way? Did you have family members already in Michigan, or would you just?
No. In fact, I was the first person to ever leave my even home state, let alone, any other person. So yeah, wow. But I think I would attribute that to my mom. I don't know why, even when I was a child, probably 2-3 years of age, so she always used to visualize when you grow up, where will you go? You will go to America. How would you go? You go on a plane. I mean, so she was seeing it long before even I would want her to go. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's when I look back, I realize how powerful visualizations are, whether it is coming from your own mom or whether it's coming from you. So I'm a firm believer for any entrepreneurial journey is that the power of visualization is that you may not see that in the today's reality, but when you start projecting 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they all become true. I'm glad that you asked the question, and that's what I realized. In her visualization, she has visualized that I ought to be there, and it manifested itself. And over a period of 20 years, lo and behold, I'm in the U.S. And so obviously you have to study, you have to go through all that. But then it's almost like seeding it.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was like the biggest challenge in that transition? Coming in from India, coming to the States, obviously the language barrier, the culture barrier. Like, what was that? What was one of the most difficult things that you had to face in that transition?
I mean, this you nailed it, Paul. Both, right, Paul? So basically, you are living your own, losing your home court advantage, right? You're going.
Now, true. I get you. Home court.
So, and then you have two challenges going on at the same time. One is the accent, obviously. Coming from there, you have the British accent, right? And then everything is upside down in the US. And then you have, you flip the switch up and you put them down over there, and then you drive on a different side of the car, left-hand drive, right-hand drive.
That is true.
And people eating a lot of salad. I only saw goat eating a lot of leaves back in India, but I never saw people eating salad back in the day. So it was quite a challenge. I mean, it's quite different in that. And then culturally, there are a lot of things that you are socially conditioned growing up in India. You have a different mindset and you see things, differently. And then you come here and say, "Oh my God, what's going on?" All that. And then, so it was a shocker. But then, when you are in Rome, do as Romans do, and you adapt, and then you assimilate. And then I realized the more I assimilate to the local culture and the local society and everything, then you are better off because, whether it is entrepreneurship, whether it is economic development, I felt like coexistence is a key to success. And so I soon realized that. And I always, very methodically and systematically, I approach that. And I would attribute that to one of my, reasons for success.
Mm-hmm. Well, you definitely have made a name for yourself and an impact here in the States, coming here, being an immigrant, coming here for your studies, but not only just graduating from a distinguished university, but taking it the next step in regards to like developing several different businesses and being a part of several different organizations. Like you're managing a whole lot. And, I know the listeners and myself are dying to know a little bit more about this Kaiba movement that you got going on. Like, how did you start this Kaiba movement? And could you tell us a little bit more about the various different branches that are in it?
Yeah. So Paul, what happened was soon after I graduated from the university, I started working for Chrysler, right? And then I was at Chrysler until 2005. And then, I got bored doing the same thing over and over. It looks like the entrepreneurial spirit was within me, but the bug was already there, but it took so many years for it to work its way through. And then 2005, I left Chrysler and plunged into entrepreneurship full time. And, I started this initial company, the main company, which is the mothership, which is called Kaiba. And then I ran that is IT, engineering, and some software products. So I was at the helm of the company since 2005 to 2017. And then I had a good run. I mean, starting from the basement, starting from the bedroom, able to grow the company into a $60 million company annual revenue. For a guy who was only looking for a $100,000 job and a master's degree, right? So it wasn't bad at all. And then obviously, along the way, we several accomplishments were made, et cetera, et cetera. And then I got bored doing the same thing. So that's when I said, wow, I can keep on doing this from 600, I can take 60 to 600 and so on and so forth. Then a lot of things were happening in Michigan with the mobility, with the artificial intelligence, with the machine learning, and et cetera. So I said, okay, let me get into this innovation landscape. And so that's how I started Kaiba Innovation. So we are focusing a lot on the innovation side, coming up with some cutting edge products. In fact, we are working on a couple of them slated to be out in the market later this year and 2022. Then I got then I said, wow, then the movie bug hit me. And then through accident, I got into the movie business. And then from there, I got into not only movie production, but also got into distribution. And then from the distribution, I got into fashion and then wellness. Because once you are in that landscape, then if you have the system in place, right, Paul, whether you have the whole entrepreneurial operating system, then it's just adding different flavors to it and understanding the market. And then all on a sudden, I became a serial entrepreneur without even me realizing it. And that is when I jokingly tell people, don't get scared, because people say, hey, never heard of this word serial entrepreneur. We only know serial killers. I said, I'm not going to go into that business, but I'm always going to remain as a serial entrepreneur, which I can promise. And so that's what happened. Paul.
And so with all these companies and all these organizations that you're affiliated with, and developing you're scaling your company, like what has been like one of the biggest obstacles, being in the profession that you're in, being an entrepreneur, a professional, being a leader? What has been like one of the biggest obstacles?
Yeah, the biggest obstacle is time, right, Paul? So now I need to learn to say no, because now you are into so many things, right? So you are in the radar of so many people. So everybody wants to work with you, partner with you, collaborate with you. But tell as a person, I only have the same hours everybody has, right? So therefore, how do I allocate that? How do I focus on things that matters the most? How do I focus on things that produces the results, not on a lot of things? So that's my challenge. And then as I'm branching into different areas, how do I get the right talent that can work alongside with me? And then also I can mentor them, and then finding the sort of a people with entrepreneurial mindset, and the working with me on different facets of my business. To me, those are the two biggest challenges for me. Getting the customers, or understanding putting the strategy together, executing is not a challenge at all after doing this so many times. Is really dedicating myself and focusing on it, and then finding the right people with the entrepreneurial mindset, because there are a lot of people with corporate mindset, Paul, but they don't fit into my operating system, because I do differently, I think differently, and I disrupt a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff, when people look at what I do, look like insane, right? And so what the hell this guy is doing? Why is he doing the opposite of everything? Hello, that's how you become an entrepreneur. If you keep repeating the same thing, you'll be sitting in a corporate environment. You know what I mean? So that dedicated time, I focus on things that matters the most. It simply boils down to the time management.
And I think that's you hit on something very deep that I think a lot of the listeners, whether it be young entrepreneurs or individuals who've been in the game for years, time is one of the most precious currencies that are out there right now. You're not going to be able to get that back. You can
absolutely
doing this and money doing that, but spending time with your family members, your friends, or just enjoying your time. Obviously as an entrepreneur, you're working endless hours.
That's right.
And sometimes people would never truly understand, why do you work that hard? But no one is you. So you've been able to keep a positive mindset throughout all of this, despite the struggles, obviously, throughout a pandemic, if that was the case. There's been a lot of those things. Like, how do you keep a positive mindset? And where do you get that motivation, to continue to be the entrepreneur that you are?
So a couple things, Paul. One, I have a strong burning desire, right? So I've already taken the biggest risk, is to leave the country and uproot myself and start all over, right? So if I've already taken the biggest risk, what more risk I have to take? Whatever risk I'm taking is much less in my mind. But many people, what they do after making that initial risk, they become complacent, they become risk averse. What I'm looking at is that, look, I don't know where my edge is in terms of my journey, and who dictates my edge. Is it me, or is it the environment, or the opportunity? So I'm in the search of it. How many more companies I can create? How many more opportunities are out there? So I'm in the search of the journey. So because I'm in that search, because I'm curious, and so therefore I draw energy from that, right? And then the second thing is that I also do meditation and yoga, everything on my physical and the mental level. So making sure that all wheels are aligned, so I keep going. So because I don't want to keep driving the car and run out of the gas. And I viewed the meditation and yoga and eating right and thinking right and maintaining that positive attitude. So that way, when you go through obstacles, when you go through adversity, you are able to handle it as they are and enjoy the journey, and not worry about the destination. Because if you keep doing it, over a period of time, you're going to be successful. I know some listeners may say, hey, man, this is like cliche. Come on, man, give me a break. What is this time? People used to say that when I was young, I never understood that. What is he talking about? I have all the time in the world. What is this guy talking about time management?
When you're juggling all of these things, right? I want to know, like, where did this entrepreneurial mindset come from? I know you mentioned your mother, you obviously were talking a little about your family, but where did this mindset come from? Where did you develop it? Like, was it somebody who inspired you to be like, look, I think when you head over to the States, you got to, move into that entrepreneurial lifestyle? Did you see somebody, did someone that you saw, someone that represented your culture? Did you see someone before you doing it in a sense? And you're like, you know what, this is something that I feel like I could do and that I can master.
Yeah, I mean, I like if I go back to childhood, I think back in the days, my mom and I during summer holidays, we used to do a lot of these organic products, organic juices. We used to make them at home, try to sell to product, much like the kids do the lemonade these days back in the. So probably it was already there, Paul, but it was laying dormant for a long period of time. I went to school, I went to a corporation, but somewhere those the seeds were already seeded. So once it came out, it became like a force. Like, I look at Steve Jobs, his journey. I look at Bill Gates. I look at Elon Musk, and even Jeff Bezos. What's in it? Those guys that keep driving them. If Elon can do it, if Jeff Bezos can do it, at least I can do 1% of what these guys were doing. And that gives me the inspiration. I don't have to be a $100 billion person. I don't need to be a billion. Even a small 1%, half a point, 0.5%. I believe I can do that, and that's really what giving me the drive, the passion, the intensity, and the sense of urgency. Like we said, time is the biggest currency out there, and so we can't be wasting time. So sense of urgency is very, very key. And that is why if some of the ideas that I work on don't pan out, I shut them down.
Okay. That is important to, obviously, you got to know when to tap out. You got to know when to jump in. You got to know when to tap out. You got to know when to ask for help. You got to know those things. Now, you mentioned about the whole thing about meditation and yoga. Like, where did you develop that? I know a lot of entrepreneurs, people in their high executive positions, a lot of them say that they could say that a big thing that has contributed to the success has been the fact of them waking up early and taking time for themselves, meditating, yoga, stretching, breathing exercises. Like, what motivated you to do that? How'd you get involved in that?
I mean, maybe obviously, as you know, India is the land of meditation and yoga. Long before it became popular, it's been utilized. I mean, obviously, when I was in India, I didn't understand its value. But with yoga and all that, I tried it and it helped. And then as I kept doing more classes and I got better. I mean, my energy level went through the roof. My resilience got up and my tenacity went out. And more importantly, I was happy. Even under stressful conditions, I'm cool. So I attribute to that. I mean, I'm by birth, my DNA, I'm somewhat a positive person. Very hard for me to become sad or anything like that. But these additional tools help me to go beyond the normal set point, set either by birth or by my environment, Paul. And so certainly it helped me. And even today, I keep doing it. And the more I do it, the more I feel good. And the more I feel good, the more things I'm able to do, because then
That's right.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? It has sort of a snowball or a cascading effect. One thing leads to another.
Yeah, no, and people sometimes, and for the listeners listening, sometimes the smallest thing, taking 5 minutes to 10 minutes of your time, not waking up right away and getting right to your phone and the emails, taking a moment to kind of sit there, whether it be in prayer, whether it be a moment to yourself to kind of just sit in silence. Being present with yourself is probably one of the ideal things to do, especially when you have to give so much of your time to so many people every single day. Your energy is obviously very important. And I know that you had mentioned about all the great things that your company has to offer. Now, I know that you have this foundation, which I want to kind of, talk a little bit more about. You have the Kids Foundation.
The Kaiba Kids Foundation, yes.
Because now you're giving back obviously to your employees, to your business, to your company, but then you take it to another step further and you say, look, we got to develop the kids foundation. How did you develop this kids foundation, and tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So Paul, I always wanted to give back, right, Paul? So what I chose is that, okay, how do I give back something to the place that I grew up when I was young, that's India. And then the place that made me what I am today. So I'm doing at both places, one in Detroit and one in India. And the idea there is to, instead of me trying to give, fish to people every single day, what if I try to teach them all the tools and the skill set they ought to do to become successful? For example, I realize that I don't need money from people, right? All I need is knowledge. All I need is connections, and rest of them I already have it. And so what I thought is that, why can't I put together a program and then provide people the skill set? So I was targeting the African American youth and the Hispanic youth and really help them pursue entrepreneurship instead of getting into drugs and violence and gangs and etc. How do we create turn them into more entrepreneurial? Because once you're selling drugs, you're already entrepreneurial. You're taking the biggest risk, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's about changing the products and services, and you serve the community, right? And then you create jobs, and that was my intent, is to really help them on entrepreneurship, and then also education. And the education is that, Detroit, 50% of the people cannot read or write. Is much worse than a third world country. Mm-hmm. And this is Detroit, one of the largest city in this whole United States, and we have a literacy issue, right? And the way to address the literacy issue is not after the fact, but when they are young, 4 or 5 years old, making sure, and most of them are not with the parents. They're not with the responsible adult, right? So as a result of which, if they cannot read or write, then you are putting them on the wrong side of the law. So how do we correct that? So why can't we help them with reading and writing? Come on, this is not rocket science. This is as basic as it can get. And this is happening in my own backyard. So what I did through the company and all that, we started working on a program, partnered with the other organizations, and we did that by helping them read and write, and then have somebody, from my company, be a responsible adult in their life. And that's all they're looking for, a responsible adult, and making them read and write when they're really, really young. Those two simple actions put them on the right side of the laws. Now, and then moving along the things, science, technology, engineering, and math, and that's where the jobs are going forward. We are living in a digital economy, mobility economy, artificial intelligence economy, and therefore we need to prepare the kids. Gone are the days where you go and make them pursue literature and all that. Yeah, it's great, but you don't have that many literary jobs out there. You end up having more philosophers in the country. We need more engineers. We need more people that matches what the market is putting it out. And then we also worked on creating some entrepreneurial curriculum, bringing in various aspects, hands-on, coming up with a business plan, and then as end of the program. So I did that about 2-3 years, Paul, to really move the needle. And then back in India, I was focusing on young girls. One of the problems out there is that you put them through all of them, mostly orphan girls, that they go through the school and all that, but then right after that, nobody is picking them up because they are not able to go to the college, and all the thing that you did goes down the drain. So I created a program in which they would have, communication skill set, and, word processing and accounting packages. So that way they can learn those kind of jobs. And then after that, pair them with the local organizations so they get some job. And then instead of them going back to where they came from and their life get completely affected, you put them in the right path towards success, and they contribute to the economy. And so basically that's what I said earlier. Instead of giving them fish every single day, you teach them how to fish, let them fish throughout their life. And as a result of which, not only their lives get better, but their generations to come also get better. And I felt education and on-the-job training are the two important things that I ought to be doing, because me being an entrepreneur, me being in the same space, I felt those are necessary for them to keep moving forward in their life. I wish I could do more of that, Paul, but with so many projects, only regret I have, I'm not doing enough to possibly.
Not doing enough. Whoa. I read the bio, young man. Don't try to fool me on that one. Don't try to fool me. You're not doing. But I mean, I greatly appreciate that. You know, someone of your caliber. You know, I feel like you're definitely cut from a different cloth. You know, whether it be the practices, the principles that your mother, your family members have given to you while you were in India, the people you have met, the people who have mentored you, the kids that you're meeting. You know, all these things inspire you to be the man that you are today and the entrepreneur that you are. And because of all the work you've been doing, you're constantly creating systems, and those systems, in a sense, opens up the next company, and that system opens up another opportunity and so many doors. And it seems that you're very in tune with opportunities. You're very aligned with those things, and any opportunity that comes your way, you're definitely looking at going at it full force. You're not looking at it like, you know what, it's an opportunity, I might do it. Like you said, time. You approach things with urgency. And I feel like from hearing your story and hearing what's going on, since you have that sense of urgency when you're doing certain things, it clearly shows in the work that you do and the accomplishments that you have achieved over the many years. Now, why is it so important? I know you were talking about the whole foundation and stuff, but why is it so important to give back as a successful businessman?
No, I look at myself in their shoes, right, Paul? When I was looking for a job, I reached out to so many. Of course, not many came to my help, but some did. So I feel that I should do that. And then when you are blessed, you must do that, Paul. That's how I feel it, right? I see, look, I came with nothing, and look where I am. And so therefore, it's a blessing showered upon me, and I should share those blessings. So when you do good things, good things do come back to you. I'm not doing because I want good things, but that's how I feel. It's also a feel-good factor. You would not believe, Paul, that in that way I'm very selfish, right? When you give back, the sense of gratification that you have when some of these kids come back and tell me how thankful, how whatever I'm doing, how it is changing their lives, it brings tears to me. And that, in a sense, it gives me happiness. That happiness I cannot get by doing anything else. You see what I'm saying? It's a sense of happiness. It's
priceless.
Yeah, it's priceless. You're not paying it. It's priceless. So on one dimension, it elevates you to a level that you've never been before. And then the more I do it, the more I experience it, right? So that's what I keep telling people. Certain things you cannot read in a book. Certain things you cannot go to YouTube and check them out. Certain things you have to do yourself to experience it. And there is nothing like experiencing it. And that's what I'm saying, Paul. So that's why I keep doing it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I greatly appreciate it. I know that the students definitely appreciate that, having individuals like yourself coming from where you come from to migrating to the States, taking that risk with obviously of really diving in through your education, taking on those opportunities, building your business, scaling your several different businesses, and being involved in the community is a very, very big thing, a very big role in the sense that you do play within that community out in the Michigan area. One of my last questions before we have to wrap up our interview today, and I would love to speak a lot more to you. We would love to even have you back on the show at a later point in time. But, my last question is, what kind of suggestions would you have for someone, looking to be like yourself? A listener right now, what would you recommend for someone like that?
Yes. I mean, there are several things, but top of my mind is taking action. That's what I believe, Paul. A lot of things is like the analogy I can give you is like a swimming pool. If you wanted to learn swimming, the best way to learn swimming is to jump into the swimming pool. Of course, you don't want to jump that is too deep, but you want to jump in there because that's the only way you're going to learn swimming. You can read the manual, you can go and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. All that mock-up things, you can keep doing it, but you're not going to get it. It's the same thing in entrepreneurship and same thing in business. You know why? Because there are so many professors out there teaching business courses throughout the world, MBA classes, and none of them are entrepreneurs, right? Because they're all doing a lot of theory. Theory is different than practice, right? And that is why I'm a sincere believer of actions. Just do it. I mean, the other thing I would give is Richard Branson would, I would agree with Richard Branson. He would say, hey, man, we got to assemble the plane as we go along and then get going. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us are conditioned either by yourself, by your parents, by your society, by your environment, whatever the reasons are that you cannot do this, you shouldn't do this, etc. The more you work on your subconscious layer and the modify those programs that are, it's a mental game, right? The more you change your mental game, the more you become successful, right? And you talked about meditation early morning. Instead of, don't go and touch your phone, or when you go to sleep or when you wake up, just focus on visualization, focus on programming your mind. These are the things that I'm going to do. I'm going to be like Elon Musk. I'm going to create a $10 million company. I'm going to create a $100 million company by such and such. And you keep visualizing before you go to bed, almost like 30 minutes before. And then, within the 30 minutes after you wake up, that is really where your mind is highly impressionable and your mind really gets molded, those moments, and take advantage of them. And that is why most of the successful people wake up early in the morning to do those kind of things, because they are reprogramming themselves for success. And then you do that and then keep doing it over and over and over and over. All of a sudden, the mind gets it. Once the mind gets it, then you are on autopilot, right? And so instead of the naysayers in the brain, oh, don't do it, oh, it's too risky, you will fail. A lot of people keep, in the society, keep whispering not to do this because not many people are risk takers. So you got to avoid all that. And the way to do that, it would be to condition your mind. So to me, if you condition your mind and have up the mental game and you are ready to take action, you could apply that to any industry, any business, anything in life, whether it is personal or business, is really my my advice or my lessons learned to any upcoming entrepreneur.
Okay. Well, I mean, I greatly appreciate you even sharing that. Obviously, to the listeners, obviously taking action and obviously just reprogramming your mind and having that mind and creating that positive mindset and that consistency. Tel, I just want to say thank you so much again for joining us today on our Zaka podcast. The things that you've said, the words have definitely been very inspirational and obviously very motivational to our listeners as well, too. We thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to hopefully having an opportunity to catch back up with you at a later point in time. So I just wanted to say to the listeners, if you want to hear more about stories like Tel, check us out on ZakaConnect.com or follow our feed Zaka wherever you listen to your podcasts.